self-actualized. You've brought out all of your abilities, all of your skills, all of your talents, and left them out on the field. And that's when you go home feeling satisfied.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Why you decide to become a writer and entrepreneur?
So I guess it all starts with what our inner motivation is. And my inner motivation has always been to help people. I'm a people person. I'm not an engineer type. I'm not the kind that as a child, taking apart a clock to figure out how it worked. No, I wanted to be with my friends. The worst punishment my mom gave me in making me learn how to play piano was that it took me from being with my friends, right? But I'm so glad she did and put in me that discipline to learn to play piano, because later on in life, when I started a band, we got very popular, we made a record, we toured. I was then able to use that skill set I'd learned to engage with and to help people and to make them happy with music, which I still do today some. So my story starts, I have a great family. I was raised with great love and affection. It wasn't the kid that parents don't love him and that causes him, to have this extra drive. That was my dad's story. He's from Brooklyn. His autobiography is called A Fighter and a Champion, because that's the way he viewed himself. I'm quite the opposite. Harry, I grew up with a great family, with great friends, in a great home that was centered on the right things. And I grew up in balance, not with a pendulum swinging each way, not searching for my father's approval, not trying to gain everyone else's love and approval. I was given very much approval, very much, even though affirmation, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I was blessed with a decent mind. I graduated college, with honors, and I studied what I loved, history. And that's basically been the story of my life, Harry. I've leaned into what I love, but I've also made sure that I had the skill sets to match it. And so I basically spent a career in government and public transportation for 30 years. And I worked my way up in both industries to the very top of both. I became the CEO of one of America's top transit systems, the MTA, which is the Maryland Transit Administration in Baltimore. I had 5,000 employees, $1 billion budget, and we had all the modes of transportation, the trains, the buses, the light rail, all of that. And we won top awards. In 2016, I was honored as America's #1 transportation official by the 50 state departments of transportation. It's called AASHTO. I won the President's Award that year. And but while I was doing it, Harry, I also leaned into a part of communication that I love, which is media. So early on, I got a job in radio, and I was a talk show host in radio as a teenager. And worked for 16 years at a radio station with Comfort's Corner and being a DJ. In college, I worked in radio, was a news director. When I got out into the real working world, I always leaned into that, worked for newspapers part-time as a columnist and reporter. When I got into government, I opened up America's only FM radio station run by a transit agency. And we played smooth jazz all day long in Baltimore, the home of UB Blake and so many other jazz players, but also transit and traffic updates 5 times an hour. And then I ran for local office in my home county, won as a top vote getter as a county commissioner in my home county. And so I was able to kind of reach the top of government, local government, and of transportation. And then when I retired, I wanted to continue my involvement in media and connecting with people. And so I found the world's largest transportation technology company, now called Modaxo, and I was hired as their senior vice president and chief customer officer. And my job is to engage with the CEOs of public transit systems around the world and showcase the thought leadership that they bring to their agencies, from New York City to Melbourne, Australia, to London, and every city in between. I've had them on my podcast, Transit Unplugged. It's heard in 100 countries. It's #1 in the world. And then we started, after the pandemic, a Stanley Tucci kind of travel show. We're going to give you food, fun, and culture, but also the public transportation in that city. And show you from Singapore, which you have up on your screen right now, where I've been and showcased their transit agency. We're going to be going to Sydney, Australia later this year, Chicago, all those places. And so it's food, fun, culture, and transit. And it now is ranking as one of the top transportation shows on YouTube, with our last episode reaching 1.6 million views around the world. Transit Unplugged
Oh,
TV.
wow.
Yeah. And so all of that combines, those really are my X factors, right? Is leaning into communicating with people and my interest in public transportation. And that's what I'm able to do now for nearly 10 years now after I retired, working in this kind of apex of this industry. And so I decided, Harry, to put all those thoughts from all that career into one book, Find Your X Factor. I went back and analyzed this silk ribbon through my life of what my interests were and then how I built up my abilities, so that at one point, I felt like I could run public transit with one eye closed, as they say. And so I found the intersection of that. And Harry, I found so many other people that have done that too. And I asked them to include their stories in the book. And so the book includes stories from other very, very people who have reached the top of radio, won the Marconi Award, the top of sports, being America's #1 hydroplane boat racer and boat builder, top lawyers and top CEOs of businesses, the guy who helped turn around General Motors. And he talks about how he did it through his X Factor. And so, again, it's how you're successful financially, but it's also how you make a real difference in this world. And isn't that what we want? All of us want significance, Harry. We want our lives to make a difference. If we can get paid for it and make $1 million, all the better.
And then, yeah, Steve Jobs always say that you always saying that you always can connect the dots backwards, and sometimes entrepreneurs, they ask me, "Oh, I want to do this business," and you ask them, "What are you passionate about?" Okay, and they say, "Okay, I like to play music. I like to travel." And then I want to do a business in real estate. Right? And you start to think, okay, one thing have nothing to do with the other one, but eventually, if be creative enough, we can connect this. Something magic happen. I have a music band as a hobby.
Okay.
We play salsa. We play salsa in London, and and the, and
What
the
do you play, Harry?
and the
What
yeah.
instrument do you
Well,
play?
that's an interesting question. I play the guitar, but
Okay.
because because the band is mine, the musician don't show up. I have to cover. So,
That's great.
that's the
Yeah,
thing.
what?
But it's band for fun.
Yeah,
However, the conference that I do, we play the music. We play music. So that knowledge that we have from that's something we from hobby. Actually, we usually use it in a professional environment, and when we do these big conferences, we don't need the really high pay sound engineer and everything, because when you have a music band with all the channels and everything for music, you become an expert in sound. So imagine the conference is just few microphones and everything. It's not a big deal.
right.
So a lot of skills that I learn in that hobby, it's actually we put in that knowledge into what we do professional. And again,
Yes.
also I like to travel, right? So I like to travel. Well, guess what? My conferences are all over the world. As you can see, Singapore, Dubai. So now we have music in the conference. They happen all over the world. And exactly like you say, you can create your X factor to take everything you like and combine it. Because, and this is important that they cross over, Paul, because otherwise people start to dilute the brand. So what
Yes.
happened is that people like music. Okay, they start to do music separate. They like the work. Okay, they have to do the business separate. Okay, they like this, and they having like 4 or 5 different lives. Uh, and then the whole brand, the whole entity who you are gets diluted. So the secret is exactly what you are describing in this book. How you can concentrate, right? It doesn't matter what you like. If you like painting, if you like doing it, like look at you. What have to do with transportation with playing piano?
Right.
Nothing to do. And with broadcasting. However, you manage to put it all together in a show,
That's right.
right? It's
I call
amazing.
that I call that an integrated life, Harry, and I think it's what leads to the most satisfaction, right? I also think it's important that even if you can't make a living doing what you really love, that you do it as a hobby, and see if you can integrate parts of it into what you do for a living. For you and me, I think music feeds our soul. I know I still play off and on in church. I play piano now in church, and I feel when I'm done, even if it's just a few songs, I feel my soul was fed, right? Because that artistic side of us needs to be fed, right? We've got a right and a left brain, and we focus too much on one and not the other, and our lives aren't integrated. We're half a person. And so we're supposed to be a full person. That's what fully self-actualized means on Maslow's hierarchy. It means rising above the basics and to the top where you feel fully self-actualized. You've brought out all of your abilities, all of your skills, all of your talents, and left them out on the field. And that's when you go home feeling satisfied. You feel like I did it all. It's like mowing the grass in your yard, and you turn around and look at it, and you get this sense of satisfaction. Yes, that's just how I wanted it to look. I left it all out there. It's a little bit of effort, but the results are beautiful.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.